Okay, so within Glow, we're really fortunate in Scotland that we have our 365 tenancy as well as Google G Suite for Education. Blogs are run by WordPress blogs, but are a fully affiliated part of our Glow system, which means that as soon as you log in, you're then able to make best use of this. Some of you may already be using Glow blogs for your ePortfolio systems, because Glow blogs runs both. It runs public and private facing blogs, as I'll come on to in a minute, as well as our ePortfolios. So if you've already got them running for P7 through to S3, then you may already be familiar with some aspects of it, but hopefully today Susan and I can explain a little bit more about how you can create your own blogs and ways that you can work them. So this afternoon, we're going to be covering how to create your own blog tile for your local authority. Unlike when you click any of the 365 tiles, it takes you in. The Glow blogs each local authority has their own tile, and I'll show you how to add your specific one in just a moment. Then we're going to take you through what a blog looks like and how to create your own blog, and we'll do that from scratch so that you can follow along. If you want to have two screens open at the same time or split your screen and do it along with us, please feel free. This session will also be recorded by our colleague Brian, who's also on this webinar, and so we'll post it in our YouTube channel, and I'll give you details about that at the end. We're also going to look at blog dashboards. These are basically like the dashboard of your car, a way to facilitate any of the tools that make your blog run and customize. How to post a comment, how to post out statements, and how to also get comments back from participants should you wish to have that feature enabled. We're then going to look at categories and tags, a way to make your blog run as efficiently as possible for you and your users, and then how to customize it with things like widgets, plugins, and then the appearance and themes. And we'll cover what widgets and plugins are for those of you who are not familiar yet. But they do fabby things that make your blog really zingy. Users and settings, how to make it public and private, and how to also maybe make a test one just for you and how you can then delete it. So that's the core of what we're going to look at. So as with Glow, Word 365 is available on, oh, I think somebody's maybe got their mic on. If everybody could just mute their mic, that would be brilliant. Thank you so much. WordPress blogs are available on phones, tablets, devices. It's anywhere, anytime, and that also means for contributors, people who are authoring it, as well as the readers. So it's a really useful tool. So some examples for those of you who are less familiar, just before I move on to what that looks like. A WordPress blog can have lots of styles. So most of you will have accessed us here to get to the Eventbrite page through a WordPress blog. This is the Did You Learn Scot one. Lots of local authorities have their own versions of one. So this is Falkirk. They have an award-winning one by Malcolm that's down there with lots of hints and tips. But there's lots of different ways that these can be designed. So you can have a traditional one that many of you may have used for your own professional learning or even in your personal life. You can have a visual-based one. So when I was in school, this is the one that I use for my younger learners and their families to share out what we've been doing. And that meant that it was really visual, so if they weren't able to access the text, I could have it as visual as I wanted it to be. And again, you have lots of different types of layouts that you can make use of. You can also have really professional looking ones, so that you can have your school logo or a motto that focuses on that, and then you can have it where the context is on different pages along the bottom. So there's lots of options, and Susan, my colleague, is going to cover all of these in just a moment. So I'm just going to cover that.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, so I'm going to show you how to create your launchpad. So I've got Glow open here, and as with any of our other sessions when we've shown you, we have lots of different
Sorry, Jenny, there's a lot of background noise just now. So could we just make sure all our attendees have got their microphones muted? By hovering over your screen and you'll see a microphone, make sure it's got a diagonal line across it, please. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, So when you're on your Glow Launchpad, you make sure that you're on your own personal one. The other ones are for your school, your local authority, or the national one, and I'll talk about that later. But on your own one, you're simply going to take an empty tile, if you don't already have a blogs tile there, select add, and we're going to choose the app from the library. And all you would do is search for blog. You'll then be taken
Jenny, we just seem to have lost your sound.
There we go. Am I back?
You're back. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem, everyone. So, as you'll see, when I typed blog, I got all of these different tiles, as well as some national ones that might be of use to you. These are not alphabetical, so please dig around until you find the one that you're looking for. So I'm looking for this central one. But if I was in Dundee, which is where I'm based, I could add the Dundee one if I worked there. So you simply select add. When it says remove from my launchpad, you can go up and click X. Go back at the top left-hand side of your screen to your launchpad, and that tile will now be there. So if I click that tile, I'm then taken to this page. This is a really useful way. So if you're new to using class blogs and Glow blogs, this is a great way to see which blogs in your authority that are public and are available for you to see, and what kind of ways other schools might be using them, or how the local authority is using them. So this page lets you see some latest posts that are public. So if your blog is public, once you've made it, your post will appear here, and again, other people can then use it as inspiration for them. But you'll then see that you have these tiles here, and Susan is going to come on to this. So I'm going to hand over at this point to Susan, who is basically going to click on this create a blogs tile for you in a second. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand over to Susan.
Thank you, Jenny. Is my sound okay at your side?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so as Jenny just demonstrated how to add the blog tile to your Launchpad. So I'm just going to pop in and click on my blog tile. And like Jenny said, because we're with Education Scotland, ours is Glow Blog Central, but you'd have your local authority one. Once it opens up, you'll see the screen that Jenny just showed you, where you can access all the blogs that you've created before, if you have any, called My Sites. There's also a help button here, but what we're going to do live during the session is actually create a blog from scratch. Now, I was in Aberdeenshire Learning Through Technology team before I came to Aberdeenshire, so I created blogs at local authority level for pushing out information. Jenny's created lots of blogs to share with pupils and students, so hopefully between us, we'll be able to give you lots of hints and tips and information about the different ways you can use blogs. So the very first thing you have to do is actually finish the URL. So you need to think about what you're going to be calling your blog. So this one, I'm just going to call Cherry Tree School. When I click in here, I then need to put the title. Put in blog as well. So that's the URL, which will just be the blogs.glowscotland.org.uk/glowblogs/Cherry Tree School, and it's just an example one. And then my title at the top of my blog will be Cherry Tree School blog. You have to leave it at English US. And then in here, you've got an option. So some of you may already be using the profiles, the e-portfolios with your students. So that's been up and running for a number of years now, and there's lots of local authorities engaging with the e-portfolios. However, for this session here, we're going to be leaving it as a standard WordPress blog. And then I create the site. So once it's created, I've got a few options in here. So I can visit my blog, or I can go to the dashboard. Now the dashboard is how you manage and customize your blog. I'm going to go to the visit your blog just so you can see what it looks like straight out the box. So by default, as soon as you create your blog, you can see here's my Cherry Tree School blog title at the top. Down the left-hand side, these are called my widgets. This is the main body of my blog, and by default, I have the first post. But I want to go in and customize my blog because it's not very exciting the way it is just now. So to get into the dashboard, so the dashboard is how I manage and set up my blog. I navigate to the top navigation here. There's a few custom icons that I can click on. But what I'm going to do is click on the title of my blog and then go into the dashboard. Now, if anybody hasn't been into WordPress blogs before, the first time you go into the dashboard can be quite daunting because there's lots of tools down the left-hand navigation. We are going to be systematically looking at some of these tools down the left-hand side, but we're not going to look at them all. We're not looking at them all because today we've only got an hour and we're just creating a basic class blog. We don't want lots of things integrated into it. We just want a way of pushing out information and pictures and rich media, etc. So now I'm in the dashboard. The first thing I'd like to do is create a few posts. So you'll see on the left hand side it says posts, and I've got a few options. So a little sub menu opens up. So I can view all the posts in my blog, and when I do view all my posts, that means I can edit them and change them, etc., and delete them. I can go straight into add new. I can categorize my posts and I can tag them. Now we're going to be looking at categories and tags throughout this webinar, because when you create a blog, it's really important that your posts are searchable. So that makes it easier for the end user. Now the end user could be your students, it could be your colleagues, or it could be parents. So we need to be able to have a way of finding information quickly and easily on a blog. So let's just pop into all posts here. And remember I said by default there was one already created. So what I'm going to do, I could hover over and trash this post. I could view it or I could edit it. So I'm just going to edit this post. This is your title. So when you create a post, you have a title at the top and the body where you put the information for your post. So I'm just going to delete this one and just say this is going to be my welcome post for my new blog. So you can see it's quite a simple interface when you're adding your post. So you can just type into the body, you can highlight your text, and you can change it from being a paragraph to a header, and you've got a few versions of the header. So let's just have a look at the heading one. So we've got a nice big bold title for the body of my post. I can also highlight my text and I can use the various formatting options in here. I might just change the colour just so we can see how easy it is just to customise my post. You can also see I can add links. So this is particularly useful if you're sharing any useful websites with your parents or with your learners, so they can just be embedded into the post. So the next thing I'd like to do is just put my cursor underneath. I'd like to add a picture to go along with the text. Now there's lots of blogs created and they are sharing lots of rich media, and rich media could be hyperlinks, photographs and videos. So to add a picture, I'm just going to select Add Media at the top left hand side. And this takes me into my media library. So any image that you upload will always be in your media library unless you choose to delete it. So there might be a picture that you want to use all the time. It could be your school logo, it could be an acceptable use policy, and it would always be in your files once you've uploaded it. But because this is a brand new blog, there's nothing there for me to choose. So I'm going to select here, Upload Files, and simply select Files from the middle. So you can choose to upload one file or you can have multiple files. You can even choose to upload PDFs and documents as well. So I've already got some pictures created in here for my blog. And I think it's in blogs here. Perfect. So I'm going to choose a picture that I've already created. Click open. You can see it uploads relatively quickly. So this is going to be a picture to go on my welcome post for my brand new blog. On the right hand side, I can choose to rename my picture. And this is particularly useful if you've got visually impaired users and they're using a screen reader. That means when they hover over your picture, it will read out what the picture is about. I can then choose what size. So at the bottom right hand side, you can see I can choose thumbnail, medium, large or full size. I want to leave this full size because it is my welcome post for my new blog. And then I'm going to select insert into post at the bottom right hand side. I'm quite happy with that now. So I've got my welcome statement with the picture and I'm ready to post it. So if I hover just over to the side, you can see my menus appear back. If I want to edit again and click on the body of my document, then the menus disappear. So it gives you a nice, cleaner interface for creating your posts. So now I have my post. When I scroll down, on the right-hand side, you will see categories. Now remember at the start I said it's important that you categorize information so it's searchable and easy to find. So I can add categories because just now it says all categories and there's only one. And by default, it's called uncategorized. So any post that does not have a category attached to it will automatically go into the uncategorized section. So I'm going to click add new category. And this category is going to be called news. So any news items that I want to push out to my learners, my colleagues or my parents will all come under the news category. I could have subcategories as well, because you can see a parent category in here, but I just want to leave it as a top level category for my new blog. And it pops in here. And I'm going to click untick the uncategorized because I don't want it to be in two categories. It's only going to be in the one. So these categories could be your curricular areas, it could be your classes. So it's worth thinking about how you want your blog structured. How do you want your end user to find the information? When I scroll down further on the right-hand side, I can also add tags. And a tag is another way of searching for information. So your categories could be your classes. So it could be P1, P2, P3, and then you could have tags for possibly digital leaders, fair trade group. You could have topics. It could be anything that you want it to be. So I'm just going to tag this welcome. And a bit like your word cloud, so the more times an item is tagged, the bigger the word will be in your tag cloud. So let's recap. I've clicked on all posts and I edited one that was already there. I added my title, the body of information, and a picture by clicking on Add Media. I then scrolled over to the right and I created a new category that was called News. So any item now that I create from my school office possibly that I want to push out as news items, I will always use this news category. I then scrolled down and I tagged it as welcome. So I'm happy with that post, so I'm just going to update it. I'm updating it because I've edited the one that was there by default. If you're creating a brand new one, and I will be creating another one after this, it would be publish instead of update. I'd now like to see what that looks like. So I could select view post from in here along the top, or I could just select my Cherry Tree School blog and visit the site. So now I can see my post has went on to my blog site. So let's go back into the dashboard. So just now I'm creating some of my posts, but that's going to be quite a lot of work. So I'd like quite a few posts on there before I share it with my learners and my colleagues. So I'd like some help creating this blog. So I'm going to add my colleague Jenny as an administrator. So we will be covering permissions later on throughout this webinar, but I want to add Jenny just now because I might need a bit of help. So I'm going to go into users down the left-hand navigation and I'm going to select all users. You can see that's my Glow username and how I'm the administrator. So I want to add a new user by clicking on Add New at the top. Now I can select users by local authority and I can select a whole class of users. Again, we'll be looking at that later on in this webinar. Just now, I just want another administrator in my blog. It's really good how...
Sorry, just before you carry on, can we just hang on 1 second? There's a couple of people asking some questions.
Yes.
And I think a couple of people are maybe making notes and just going to catch up with us. So is that okay? Just
absolutely.
So just so that we can answer some questions together, somebody, so Mr. Brown has asked that he's not seeing the colour options. So usually that's to do with the browser that you're using. I normally say to the teachers that I work with that Edge or Chrome allows you to see them. Internet Explorer and Safari don't necessarily allow you to see the colour options always, but he is using Edge. No, you're using Chrome, Mr. Brown. It could just be a bit of a glitch. Glow is under a lot of pressure at the moment where there's a lot of usage of it, but it should appear there. But I've got your details, so I'll get back to you directly, privately about that to see why it's not appearing for you. But if it's an old blog, it may be that it was created before that was an option, but it should have updated for you. So we'll do a little bit of digging for you and get back to you. Somebody else has asked, Miss Reed, so when I create a post, I don't have a category or tags at the side. She has to go back in and edit them. So we're going to look at how you edit the menu at the options at the side. So we'll show you that in just a second. I think that was all of our questions at the moment. Ms. McClarkin, are you okay for us to keep going? Oh, Mrs. Lee's asking, could we recap about creating the blog site name? Do you mind if I answer, Susan?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Is that okay? So one thing when you're creating your site title and site name, Susan, are you able to pop back onto create a site page, please, just since it's on your screen? So whenever you use you can create your name for the site as anything that you want, but one of the things that once you've used it, so in this site name, once you've used it, you can only use it once. So for example, if I was to use my name, so if I was to do Jenny Mackay, I can't ever use that again. So if I delete that site, it's gone. So if you're playing about on this, it's definitely worth building one and just using like random numbers, and as many of them as you want, so that when you do come back to want your school name or your class name, then it's there and available for you. But the site title can be literally anything, and you can also change that as well. So unlike the site name, the site title is totally editable. Someone's asking, how do we change the WordPress widget to your school logo? We're going to come to that, don't worry, that's next up after this little bit, so we'll get to that, Mrs. Anderson, for you. Okay, I think that's us all caught up.
Perfect,
Susan.
thank you, Jenny, thank you.
Sorry.
Right, Jenny, is that your username? ESJE Mackay?
Yes, that's me.
Perfect. So it is good housekeeping to add at least one other administrator to your blog, just in case you're off school or somebody else needs to manage it, because there's nothing worse than a blog being left with no administrator. So it's always good housekeeping to add at least one other administrator. So to recap, we clicked on users, all users, and then add users. So I've typed in Jenny's unique Glow username. If you are adding another administrator, anybody to your blog, even if it's just a view only, they need to have accessed this tile before you can add them. If they have never clicked on the blog tile, then when you add their Glow username, it will just sit at pending. And that's a little bit of a nuisance. So they always have to actually access the WordPress tile, and then you can add their username, select the role, and then you can add users. We are going to be talking about roles later on, so don't worry about all these different options, but I'm wanting another administrator, so now I'm going to add Jenny. And you can see at the top, one user added to your blog. So when I go to all users on the left, I now have 2 administrators. Okay. So let's go back up to posts. And this time I want to create a brand new post. I'm not going to edit that last one, a brand new one. So we've been doing an Egyptian project in P5. So I've got my title. I'm going to add some text. And I'd like to add a gallery of pictures. So when I click on Add Media, you might want to share some work that your students have been doing. So they have maybe been creating posters, flyers, pieces of artwork, and you want to share that. So I'm going to upload files, exactly the same way we did before, select files, and I'm going to select a few of these Egyptian pictures I've already got saved. I've selected 6 of them. I'll click Open. And they are all uploading. Down the left-hand side, you will see I can create a gallery. That's what I want to do when I've got more than one picture. So when I click Create Gallery, you can see that because I've just uploaded these, that they're all ticked. But if I want to include any other ones, I'll just select it and tick, but I don't want that one, so I'm going to untick it. On the right-hand side, I can edit these pictures. So see underneath it says Edit Image. So I can choose to resize pictures if I so wish. So my colleague Jenny, she's very fussy and she's a bit OCD and she likes all her pictures exactly the same size. Don't you, Jenny?
She's not even lying.
So Jenny would then change this, click Scale, and she'd make sure that all our pictures were 600 pixels wide. She could then choose to alter that for all images. So if she was using this school logo and lots of different posts, for example, then once she's resized it once, it will always be the correct size that she likes. So I could go in and I could resize each one of these. The other thing I can do is when I click Edit, is I can change, no, it wasn't Edit, let me just go back. I can also change the title. So Jenny, when she worked in a school, she would add the school name to the start of the picture. And that would make that picture searchable by any search engine. So if your blog is public and you want certain items to be searchable, then you could add your school name on the front of the title of the pictures. I'm happy with it like this. So I've got my 6 pictures and I'm going to create my gallery at bottom right. I can then choose how much columns wide that I'd like my pictures to be displayed. Because I've got 6 pictures, I think 3 columns wide and 2 with 2 rows would be perfect. And I'm going to change it from thumbnail to medium and insert gallery. I can now see how my gallery will be displayed. But remember, the next thing I have to do is add a category. So this new category is going to be called Our Learning. Again, this is customizable depending on your own needs and requirements. A new category and it's been selected. But I'm going to tag this Egypt. You can add more than one tag. So I'm also going to tag it P5A. So that's my topic and my class, but they're all going to be sitting under the Our Learning category. And this will become clearer once we see a few posts in the live interface. While I'm looking at some other areas of the blogs, Jenny's going to create 1 or 2 posts and she's going to have her own category. So you can see them all appearing later on when we go into the live interface. So I've got my pictures, I've got my title, my information, my category and my tags. I'm now ready to publish. Remember, there's 2 ways I can view it. I can view the individual post here, or I could view the whole blog from Visit Site. So now I have my 2 posts and Jenny's been busy. She's already got her ones in there. And you can see how I can scroll down through all my posts on my blog. Back into the dashboard. And the last post I'm going to do very quickly is just to demonstrate adding a video. Again, it's Add Media. Jenny, what's the file size for a video?
50 megabytes. So 30 seconds long is a good indicator. If you're filming it on an iPad or your phone or something like that at the moment, 30 seconds.
Okay. If you've got any videos that are longer than that, providing that all your permissions in school are fine for sharing, it's probably better to post them somewhere else, possibly on a YouTube channel for your school. Hopefully, you can make videos unlisted so they're not searchable on YouTube, but then you could just add the link to your blog. Blogs have also got a storage limit, so it saves you running out of space on your blog if you host any larger videos on YouTube, but simply link to them on your blog posts. So
Sorry, just for those authorities that maybe don't have access to YouTube for their schools, a way that we used to share our videos out was the school or the authority would host them in their OneDrive and use share links in a central location. So you can use your OneDrive and just create a share with everyone link, and anyone who wants to view that video can then do that. So that then allows you to not have to create a separate account if that's not something your authority would allow. But like Susan says, YouTube's there for you and it doesn't have to be searchable.
Perfect. So it's a couple of options. So I've added my video and you can see it's went in with the embedded media player. I'm just going to categorize this one news, and I'll just put a tag in it as video and add. And I'm just going to publish that. Okay, so while I'm looking over here, I've got categories on the left-hand side. So you saw how we created the categories quickly and easily. If you're creating a blog for your school, you may want to set up the categories first independently so that you've got that set of categories that your staff are all going to be using. And this is where you do that, just by adding the name and then clicking Add New Category. Alternatively, this is where you can delete some of the categories if you so wish, by just hovering over them and you can see delete, or you could edit them if you wanted to change the category name. Similarly, same thing for the tags. This is how you can delete some of the tags, or if you want to rename them. So again, if you want to set these up for other staff using them, then that's absolutely fine. Media is the next one down the left-hand navigation, and this is where you can access all your media and you can see the items that we've just uploaded throughout this webinar. So if I wanted to delete some of these, again, you can delete them from here. We're not going to go into pages in this starter webinar, and we're going to go into appearance next. So you saw the blog, the theme was black and white. It wasn't particularly eye-catching. It wasn't really very exciting for a primary school. So I want to choose a different theme. So I'm just going to click on themes under appearance. Now, one word of warning, if you are looking at themes, please pick a theme early on when you're creating your blog, when you've only got 1 or 2 posts, because it will change the look of your blog drastically. So rather than having a blog that's maybe been going for a month or 2 months and then you change it and everything maybe looks really different, I would do it at the start and then I would just leave that theme. The good thing about the themes is when you hover over a theme, you can see a live preview. So here's a live preview in this theme. You can see my posts are on the left and my widgets are on the right. Now, just to clarify, a widget is just a web-based tool that's embedded onto your blog to make things nice and easy. So, for example, this search tool is simply a widget. So it's just a fancy name for a little tool. I'm just going to close this one. And I'm going to try a different theme. So let's try this one, live preview. So it is quite nice adding a couple of posts just to see how your theme would look with your content on your blog. So that one's quite nice. If you're anything like, once you start using one theme and you like it, you seem to default to that theme all the time. And this is my favourite one here, 2015. So I'm going to just click live preview. And again, that is my favourite one, so I'm going to go with that one. But before I activate and publish, I want to look at some of these customization tools down the left-hand side. So here's your title. And here's your site identity here. And this is where you can change the title of your blog if you decide later on after you've created it. You can also have a tagline. So if you had a school motto, you could add that under your school name. I'm just going to take that out because I don't want a tagline. So I'm happy with that. Oh, sorry, Jenny, were you about to speak?
No, I was just going to say, so while you're doing this, Mrs. Anderson, the question you asked about school logos, this is the bit that will be beneficial to what you were trying to do. So I know we're not going to look at the logo at the moment, but just at the top, if you want to use a school badge with it, you can paste that up there. But Susan's also going to show you how to make you have a site icon that if your young people have it on their phones, it's really easily identifiable as well.
Do you want me to add the logo, Jenny?
Could do, yeah.
So I'm just going to select a logo. So like Jenny said, that could be your school logo. We'll just go with Education Scotland. And you see, you can just click and drag. Crop image, bottom right. And that's me added my logo at the top. Jenny mentioned that you can also add it to the tab along the top, which I'll demonstrate just now. And click crop. So you can see now at the top on my browser tab, I've got the Education Scotland logo, so it's nice and easy for me to find my blog when I've got lots of tabs open.
That's really useful if you're using the make a tile on your phone or your device. So if you're working from home and you're using an iPad or you're wanting to use your phone to post blog posts, that is the tile icon. So it basically becomes the badge for the app. So whatever you make there becomes that. So
excellent. So that was both under site identity for your logo and your wee icon on your tab. Next one's colours. So I can choose which kind of colours I would like. So you would just select. So this is for the sidebar. You can see I can just make it any colour I want, but let's just stick with white. This is for my text, and my background colour is here. I want to add a picture, and I'm going to demonstrate that just now. So again, the back button here, just to get back, and I'm just going to systematically go down each one. The header one for this one goes down the side, so I've decided I don't want that, but I want a background image. So click on background image, select image. So I'm going to upload an image that I want for the background of my blog. So hopefully I'm not going too fast for anyone. I'm selecting my image, which is just a brick wall. And you'll see how that looks in just a second. Choose image at the bottom right. And you can see now that's added to the background of my blog. I can reposition it. So if you had something with text or pictures in there, then you can reposition it to make it sit nicely. We've got menus. We're not going to go into menus in this session, but we are going to show you an easy way of adding a menu just by adding a widget. And that takes us on to widgets just now. So widgets are just little tools that we can add to our blogs. And this one, it's down the left-hand side, which makes it nice and easy to navigate. So there's a lot of widgets here. So archives, I don't really want archives. So I'm going to click on the drop-down menu and remove, because these are just here by default. I don't really want comments, so I'm going to remove. And I don't really want the recent posts because I want to keep it nice and simple so my young people can find things easily. So remember, we were adding our posts with categories. So categories is by default a widget on my blog. So I can see now how I can jump into each category quickly and easily to find the posts linking to that area. The site meta is only available for administrators, and that's how you can jump into your blog to customize it. The search tool, very useful for searching your blog, does what it says on the tin. But I can also add some widgets. So when I click add widget, and you probably could be here all day trying out some of the widgets. I quite like the one that's an image, so you might want an image on there. You can add some links, so you might be linking to a different school website or a blog, for example. RSS feeds if you want to pull in a feed from another blog. But I'd like to add the tag cloud because remember we were adding tags to our posts. So I'm just going to click on the tag cloud and I'm going to name it tag cloud. You could name it anything you want, but just stick with simple. And I'm going to click done. However, I want my tag cloud at the top, so I'm just going to drag my widget to sit just above the search. And remember the tags we're using? So I've got one for Egypt, P5, video and welcome. So I'm quite happy with that widgets now. I'm going to click the back arrow here and I'm going to activate and publish my blog. Just going to close this window here. So now when I go to my blog, I can see how that's drastically changed the look and feel of my blog. So I'm a little bit fussy. I'd quite like this one, the welcome one, to stay at the top. Now you can do that because you can make a post sticky. So this will always stay at the top. So let me just demonstrate how I can do that. Back into the dashboard. And I'm going to pop into all posts. Once I'm in all posts, the welcome one's here. And that's the one I'd like to make sticky. So I'm going to click quick edit. Once I've selected quick edit, away over here, so it's not very intuitive, there's a little ticky box that says make this post sticky. And I'm going to click update. So now, when I go to visit my site, I've got my welcome one at the top. And all the newer ones will just scroll underneath.
Susan, can we just hang off there a second? So Mrs. Anderson's asking, she has seen the WordPress logo on Meta. That's the one that she wants to change. Mrs. Anderson, can you unmute yourself just so that we make sure that we're answering the question? Are you okay? If you don't want to, you can just pop it back in.
Oh, it's fine.
Hi.
Hello. I was just wondering, it's when you go to the main page that shows you all the posts from the authority. I have noticed some schools have their logo at the bottom of the post when you can see all the different posts that people put in. And when I put in a new post, it then goes up to the top of that. But it's got my EAL service, but it says WordPress and the wee picture next to that. I want to change that to my school or my service logo. I can't find out how to do that yet.
I think I know what you're meaning, but what I think what we'll do is, if it's okay with you, Mrs. Anderson, then is if you maybe if I contact you afterwards, straight after this, then I can have a look at the blog on your screen, if that's okay with you, and then that way I can try and sort it with you while I'm on the call with you. Is that all right?
Yes, fine, thank you.
Perfect, thanks. Okay,
Thank you.
on. Sorry, Susan.
That's okay. So I've got my blog now. Let's just check that the tag clouds and the categories are working. So I'm going to click on Egypt. And there's my post that's tagged with Egypt. And you can see my two tags are down at the bottom. But I could also click on either one of these. So if I clicked on P5A, all the posts from 5A will appear. If I click on my name, all the posts that I have added will appear as well. So that's my tags. So they, like I said, if there's more things get added, then the tag will get bigger and bigger, depending on which ones are the most popular. So it could be a little competition in your school. We could also use the categories. So let's click on Our Learning. And these are all the posts for Our Learning. You can see how this one's been created by Jenny. And she's tagged it with Our Learning. But let's click on Jenny's name. And I can also pull in all the posts that Jenny's added for me. So that's a really nice, easy way of pulling all the posts together. If I click on my school name on the left-hand side, this will take me back to my main home landing page, right back to where I started. Okay, so let's go back into the dashboard. So that was the appearance, and we've looked at the themes, customized widgets. We're not looking at menus. Instead, we used a category that pulled in, a widget that pulled in all our categories. The next one we're going to look at is plugins. We're not going to go into this in a lot of detail because Jenny and I enable 3 plugins that make our blogs much slicker, and we just do that by default whenever we're creating a blog. Now, the 3 that we activate, first one is 14 colors to make our blogs nice and vibrant. The next one is the Jetpack. And the last one is Google Translate. So 14 colors, Jetpack by WordPress, and
just above
Google
Jetpack.
Language Translate. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
And that's the 3 that we activate by default. Okay. Is everybody happy with that? Ready to move on?
No questions here.
The next one is quite important, and that's your users. So you saw me briefly going into that to add Jenny as another administrator for my WordPress blog. However, nobody else can see my blog. If I wanted to add a group of users, I would select Add New, and I can add by curricular group. And of course, this is all linked to the information that's in your CMIS accounts at your school. So I'm going to use Dundee because Jenny has given me permission to go into Dundee. I'm then going to go into, remind me what your establishment.
Dundee Central.
Dundee City Central staff. And this is where I can select teachers.
Yeah, there's only teachers in there, but if you're doing this with your class and you find your school, it will then give you pupil names as well.
By default, they're all selected, so you could add them all to your blog just with one click. Or if you wanted to add specific pupils or colleagues, you deselect all of them and you simply tick the ones that you want, and then you select their role. Now, Jenny, I'm going to pass over to you just to give us a very brief overview of each one of these roles.
Okay, so an administrator has the same rights as the person that created it. So basically they can post, they can remove anything, they can do whatever you need to do. I wouldn't really worry too much about editor. It has very much the same principles. I normally stick with administrator. There is also an author. That's a person that has a lot of rights but can't delete the site. Essentially, they have all the other rights and they can post and review and add on comments too. A contributor and an upload contributor. So when I'm doing this with my classes, or if there's something that I'm responsible for, I'm a bit of a control freak. So I probably don't bother with the upload one, but what I would use is the contributor one, which then allows anyone who's a member of my blog to write a post, but they can't post it without me having moderated it, essentially. So especially when we've got young people that we're working with, or maybe it's something that's going out more directly to parents. Normally we would create these and it'd be for parents potentially, but we might be just using it with our classes. Because of this, you would probably want everybody to be contributors, and for you and any other owners of your team, senior leadership, to be the people who are administrators so that they can vet it. The administrator, the contributor can see that there's comments, but they cannot post any comments that people have added in. What we're also going to do is add into the file on TeamSpace. I've got a little overview sheet I usually use when I'm in Dundee. So we're going to post that into that page so that people have a little section that you can keep in front of you that lets you know who you're adding as what category. Somebody's just asking, does it give you the whole school role as an option? Oh, so that's a really good question. So when you're using that drop down menu, so if you could maybe scroll up for me, Susan, if you don't mind, just here where it's saying select an establishment, you have to select, it'll let you select class group. So we're not going to do it there just because obviously we don't want to show people's names, but you can add everyone. There is a way to add it with a number that your seed code number. But essentially what we would suggest that you do is go through, and when you go into the curricular groups, you can select year group by year group or class by class. So you can put all of your P7s in or S3s in, or just some of those classes. The other way to do the whole school would be using your seed code. Again, we'll maybe pop a guide in for that as well. But I'm going to show you where to get lots of amazing help at the end of this that follows on from what we're showing you. Okay?
Thank you, Jenny. Thank
No
you.
worries.
And then once you're happy, you add the selected users. But again, remember, they need to have clicked on that WordPress tile on their launchpad before they will be added straight away. If not, you will get a message saying they're pending.
Mhm.
Okay. So the next thing I'm going to look at is settings. So let me just pop into settings. And you've got a few options down your left-hand side. So when I pop into writing, is it writing? No, reading. Sorry.
Reading. Yeah.
Reading. I've got a few options in here. Now, I might want to add a static home page. So I'm sure you've seen some websites that have got a static home landing page, but they have their menu along the top that you can pop into different areas. So you might have like a learning grid, well, they're home learning just now, that you want visible the whole time, and that would be a static page. If that's something you're interested in, you just add a page from here and you tick it to be a static page, and you can select it from here. We're not going into it in this session because we've only got an hour, but that is an option that's quite useful. And this is where you can sort out your blog visibility. So you can have it private. So while you're creating your blog, keep it private. So me and Jenny are the only ones that can see this blog just now. I could make it Glow only, so folk would have to log in with their Glow credentials to access that blog. Or the other option is to make it public. Now, lots of schools do make them public because they want them to be the school website, but it's up to your individual school and local authority that you have all that permissions in place, especially if you're sharing any photographs. So that is an option, especially if you want to engage with parents, to make your blog public. The next one I'm going to pop into is discussions. Now, this is where I can click to comment must be manually approved before any comments are visible. So we thoroughly recommend that that box is ticked so you can moderate any comments that are added to your blog. If your blog is public and there's lots of posts, then sometimes you do get some spam comments. So that's why it's really useful that you can moderate them first and you can trash them. And remember, we went into posts and we could see how we could trash or edit posts. But I could go in there again just now just to recap. Anything else in the settings, Jenny, that I've missed? The email. Email.
Oh, yeah. So have you put in? Yeah.
Email me whenever anyone posts a comment. So that's quite useful as well. If you're not in your blog every single day, you might want a little notification if someone has put a comment on your blog. You wouldn't want it sitting there if it was from a parent, for example, and you wanted it to be actioned quite quickly. So that's really two useful ones. Comment must be manually approved, and anyone that posts, you will get an email notification. That will go to your Glow email. Okay, so moderating the posts. So when you go to your posts here, you will see the ones that are published. Where's the ones that are pending? It's on comments, sorry, went to the wrong one. You can see here, pending. So if there's any pending comments in there, that's where you can approve them. I've got one comment in here. So whenever you create a new blog, there's always one comment by default, and these are the options you get: unapprove, spam, trash, etc. So I'm just going to trash this one because it was just the default one, and now I've got no comments at all on my blog. Okay, so if there's no more questions, let's have a quick look at the blog. So that's just a very, very quick basic how to get started, how to add a sticky post at the top, how to add a post with a video up to 30 seconds, how to add a post with a gallery of pictures, how to categorize and tag your posts. Let's just scroll down a wee bit. I'm here. So there's my tags, there's my categories. The widgets on the left-hand side, how I can add a site logo, my school name of my blog, which takes me to the home page, my tag cloud, so I can pop in to look at some posts that have been tagged, my categories for navigating, and that's my admin widget in there. If you wanted to add a YouTube video, so I'll just do that very, very quickly. Just pop into YouTube. Go to our Did You Learn Scott channel. So if I wanted to create a link to one of these videos, let me go into this one. I'm just going to click share. I'm going to grab that link back into my blog, and I want to add a post for this YouTube video. So posts and add new. And now I need to add media. Insert from URL on the left-hand navigation. Paste your URL. You'll know it's worked because you get a little preview to start with. Insert into post. I can categorize. Let's tag this one cyber. Add. Publish. So now when I go to visit my blog, that's my sticky post. There's my YouTube video that can play embedded on the screen. Okay, so I'm conscious of time, so I'm now going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to hand back over to Jenny.
Great, thank you, Susan. There's just before we go through, we've got a couple of questions. Well, you've cancelled it. If you want to delete a site, did you cover that?
I didn't actually.
It's in settings. So there is a section in there that's for settings. Susan's just going to show you just there. So I would recommend you make one player in tools. What will happen is once you click delete site that you're seeing just at the side, it'll send your Glow email address confirmation. So it's still sort of in this limbo land until you click that. Once you click the email confirmation, it is gone and cannot be retrieved. So use it with caution, but it's definitely worth having a go and using that for you. Somebody has just asked a couple of questions and then we'll finish up. So one of the Glow product owners is a fabulous gentleman called John Johnson. He has a blog that is available, and it's what links from the Glow Connect site. This is really useful. Both Susan and I have referred to this lots of times. It has brilliant little short 5-minute video guides. It gives you an overview of lots of different tools, some ideas of how you can use it, using class names as your tags, different things. But the step-by-step nature of this site is really useful. And again, this is all hyperlinked. So if you are reviewing this, you can go back and click this and it'll take you straight there. But like I say, if you go to Glow Connect and the help page on Glow Blogs, it links just from this little section here. It takes you straight through there. It's really, really useful. Again, just whenever you're using this, if you do click on any of the tiles and you are given this page as a pop-up, we know it is confusing some folk. So just remember, it's your Glow username. It's just double checking that you are the right person with the correct ending. You will have SCH if you're based in a school, or Glow Mail if you're non-school based, but Susan and I have a slightly different one. And we just wanted to say thank you to everybody. If you've got any questions, you can use the hashtag #DidYouLearnScott, or you can contact Susan and I through the messages that are there.